Alright y'all, what is going on? Back with another video. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic day. It is Thursday, the weekend's almost here. Cannot wait to start the weekend off on a high note. Speaking of the weekend, I do have a poll that's on the channel. Check out that poll and give me your feedback. I have 3 games that I want to live stream, and based on your guys' feedback, that will be the game that I live stream. So check that out. It's 3 games on the poll. Please let me know what you guys want to watch, what you want to see, or what you want me to make a playlist out of. That'd be pretty awesome. So we're going to talk about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. There's a few games that are on that collection that's not on the collection, and I want to give you my thoughts and opinions why I think that's the case. So I really appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. New subscribers, you guys are absolutely awesome. We're going to keep this thing rocking and rolling because it's all thanks to you guys and the support. Man, they be tearing my truck up when they be unloading my truck. Jesus. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and get into it. Mortal Kombat Trilogy is one of the games that's not on the Legacy Collection. You got Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, Ultimate, and Mortal Kombat 4, which is, that's the arcade version. I want to let you know why I think that it's not on there. First and foremost, the console version of Trilogy is flawed. Yes, all of the versions are flawed. When it comes to the N64 version, it doesn't have all the characters that it should have, even though it doesn't have any loading times. Now, the PlayStation 1 and the Saturn version is the reason why they have the loading times are so bad, and Shang Tsung, his morph is absolutely abysmal in that game. And if you want to have the full experience, you want to have a way to morph in him with no problem. Now, a lot of people be like, well, VF, what about the PC version, MK Trilogy on the PC? I think that's an MS-DOS version, and I'm not sure if they're willing to just throw the DOS version on there without, doing some tweaks. And I think just the MS-DOS version, it's very good. I don't know how well that will convert to be on a console per se, and maybe just do some quality of life things, because with the MS-DOS version, you have to do some things. It's just not just putting it on a disc, or just putting it on the PlayStation 5, or just putting it on Steam. You have to make some things work for it to work. That's why GOG is so good at what they do. Now, let's talk about the other versions. Let's say the Mortal Kombat 2. Same thing, Shang Tsung, and I would love for them to put the PlayStation or the Saturn version of Mortal Kombat 2 on this collection, but same thing. The loading times are awful. The memory configuration is awful too. Like, say when you start a match, the first move that you put in is a real delay. When you put in the first special move, it's really bad. So I see why they didn't do that. But it would have been nice, because those games do look really good. They look good. They look damn near arcade perfect, but they have a bunch of technical issues. Now, why MK Gold is not in the collection? I think that MK Gold and Trilogy will make it at some point. That's my personal belief. But I think MK Gold is not in this because you got to understand that that is a Dreamcast port. And Dreamcast ports aren't the smoothest to port over to another console. I mean, you saw this with the Dreamcast collection on Xbox 360, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, well, really Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Those games were not easy to port over. That's why you're finally now getting like Power Stone and Rival Schools or Project Justice on the Capcom collection, because it takes a while to get those Dreamcast ports ported over to be up to par. Same thing with Zero Gunner 2. But nevertheless, let's not just get into that rabbit hole. But I think that's one of the reasons why it is what it is, that you don't see those games. Now, I believe at some point you'll probably get those games in some form or fashion. I think due to fan outcry, people, they really want MK Gold over the actual MK4 in my opinion. It has more characters, and to me I think it's a slightly better game than the actual vanilla MK4. But you get an MK4, you can't complain about that, can you? Well, I guess you can. And MK Trilogy, same thing. It's going to be a lot of configuration to get that, and also got to remember that this game did not have an arcade port. MK Trilogy was like the first game that didn't have, I think it's the first Mortal Kombat game that didn't have an arcade port. Unlike like I said, MK3 has an arcade port, MK2, MK1, so it's kind of easier to put those games on the console. I mean, on the collection. Now, MK3, I do have a question. I know that they're doing the Genesis and the Super Nintendo version of MK3, I think, and the arcade version. Now, once again, those are cartridges, and they don't have any load times. Same thing with Ultimate. They're doing the Super Nintendo version as well as the arcade version. That don't have any load times. 32X don't have any load times, and so on and so on. But when you go into like the MK2, the MK3, especially like MK3 for the PlayStation 1, load times. MK Trilogy, load times. Like I said, you could go with the MS-DOS version, but I think it may be some type of configuration. And the Dreamcast port of MK4, it may not be technically, you know, ready, to be honest. Because like I said, Dreamcast was easy to develop for, but it's kind of difficult to put those games on different hardware. It's just something about them. It's always been that way. Like I said, go back to the other games I mentioned earlier. They just don't plop them on another console. It's one of the reasons why I don't think we have Giga Wing 2 yet on another platform, which that game needs a ridiculous, it's ridiculously sad that that game doesn't have another port yet. But like I said, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I think in due time we're going to get those games onto the Legacy Collection in some form of fashion, or it may be a second Legacy Collection, because I don't think this is going to be the only one. This is not going to be the only one. Also, I believe that Deception, Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon is going to get some love at some point. But I just don't think that it would have been viable to put this along with the 2D original arcade ports or the arcade era of Mortal Kombat. I don't think it would have been viable to add those to this. It would be awesome, but I think it would have been out of place as well. So I really think that those 3D versions of Mortal Kombat should get their own shine, should get their own just due. And you put those games along with Shaolin Monks, then you will have something there. Now, I will say this before I get out of here. If you go back and look at that trailer, that trailer had 4 question marks when it was showing the screenshots of all the games at one point. They had 4 question marks. What are those 4 question marks? Personally, I would not be surprised if they were a Trilogy or a Mortal Kombat Gold, but those 4 question marks may be, and this is pure speculation, it may be Shaolin Monks, it may be Deadly Alliance, it may be Deception, and it may be Armageddon. That would be really awesome if those come in like a DLC package, or if it would be part 2, or whatever the case may be, because I don't think Mortal Kombat, these guys in Mortal Kombat never shy away from putting secrets out there, putting hints. They've been doing that since the first Mortal Kombat with Reptile. So those 4 question marks, and I think it's like at the 4 minute 30 second mark or something, they're not there, they're not just put there just for a reason. I mean, just willy-nilly. They're put there for a reason. So I think that's what the 4 question marks for, is for those 4 games I just mentioned. But you never know. But I do feel like the trilogy, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and I do think Mortal Kombat Gold is going to be somewhere around the corner. I mean, those 2 games are really high in demand, and people are going to want those in some form or fashion. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to get up out of here. Thank you guys for rocking with me yet again. I really appreciate you guys. Check out that poll in the community tab. I really would appreciate it. And I plan on going live once again this weekend. And hopefully you guys will check it out. All right, y'all, I'm out. Peace.